"Unlock your phone now," my pregnant girlfriend said at 11 p.m. I stood there speechless as she checked it again and again, then walked away from the house I bought for our baby. Days later, I realized who was really pulling the strings. I'm a personal trainer and do construction work on the side. Been with my girlfriend Sable for 4 years, and we found out 2 months ago she's pregnant. I was terrified and excited in equal measure, but mostly excited because I'd been wanting this, a real family, something stable and good. I'd been saving for years, went to therapy for 6 years to deal with my shit from growing up, built a career I'm proud of, and 3 weeks ago, I closed on a house. Not huge, but it's ours. 3 bedrooms, a yard, in a decent neighborhood. I signed the papers thinking this was the start of everything. Then Sable's childhood best friend Arwen moved back to town. I need to give you context on Arwen. She's been in and out of Sable's life forever. They grew up together, lost touch, reconnected, drifted apart again. Every time Arwen comes back around, it's because something in her life has fallen apart. This time, it was a breakup with some guy she'd moved across the country for. Sable was excited to have her friend back. I was supportive because that's what you do when your partner's going through pregnancy hormones and wants her support system close. What I didn't expect was for Arwen to move into our apartment 2 weeks before we were supposed to move into the new house. "It's temporary," Sable said, "just until she finds her own place." I said okay because I'm not a dick, and I understood Arwen was going through something. Plus, we'd be in the new house soon anyway. That's when things started getting weird. Arwen started making comments about my job, about how personal trainers are always surrounded by attractive women in tight clothes, how it's basically impossible for guys in that field to stay faithful. She'd say it like she was joking, but Sable would get this look on her face. Then one night, I came home from a late client session, and Sable was sitting on the couch with my phone in her hand. "What's your passcode?" she asked. "What? Your phone. What's the passcode?" I'd never hidden my phone from her. Never had a reason to. But something about the way she asked, the entitlement in it, made me pause. "Why do you need it?" "I just want to check something." "Check what?" She started crying. "Arwen says all personal trainers cheat. That it's basically part of the job. And you've been working late and I need to see." I stood there looking at the woman I'd been with for 4 years, the mother of my kid, crying on our couch because her friend had convinced her I was cheating based on nothing except my profession. I unlocked my phone and handed it to her. She went through everything, texts, DMs, emails, even my deleted folder. Found nothing because there was nothing to find. "I'm sorry," she said when she was done. "I just had to be sure." "Did Arwen tell you to do that?" "She's just looking out for me." That was the first time. Not the last. For the next week, Sable checked my phone every day. Sometimes multiple times. She'd go through my client list asking questions about every woman, what they looked like, how old they were, whether I thought they were attractive. I tried to be patient. Pregnancy hormones, insecurity, her friend feeding her paranoia. But it was eating at me. Then I found out why Arwen was so invested in proving I was a cheater. I'd left my laptop open at the apartment while I ran to grab food. When I got back, Arwen was at the table, and my laptop was at a slightly different angle. I didn't think much of it until later that night when I got a notification on my phone. Someone had logged into my email from an unfamiliar device. I checked the IP address. It matched our apartment's Wi-Fi. I dug deeper, looked at Sable's laptop while she was in the shower, found tracking software I didn't recognize. Some app called Couple Tracker that I'd never heard of, logged into Sable's account. But here's the thing, it wasn't just tracking Sable's phone. It was mirroring everything. Her texts, her calls, her photos. And because Sable had access to my phone whenever she wanted, Arwen essentially had access to everything I was doing. She'd been reading my messages, going through my client communications, looking for anything she could twist into evidence of cheating. I sat there staring at that laptop screen, trying to understand what the endgame was. Why would Arwen want to destroy my relationship with Sable? Then I remembered something Sable had mentioned offhand the week before. Arwen asked if she could stay in one of the spare rooms at the new house, just for a few months while she gets on her feet, and I'd said no. Politely, but firmly. We were about to have a baby. We needed that space. That's when it clicked. Arwen wasn't trying to protect Sable. She was trying to blow up our relationship so Sable would be dependent on her, so she'd have leverage to move into the house anyway. I confronted Sable that night, showed her the tracking software, explained what Arwen was doing. She didn't believe me. Arwen's my best friend. She wouldn't do that. Sable, the evidence is right here. You're just trying to get me to push her away because you don't like her. I don't like her because she's actively sabotaging our relationship. We fought for hours. I told her this had to stop. The phone checking, the paranoia, Arwen living with us. That we needed to go to couples therapy before the baby came. She agreed. Said she'd go to therapy. Said she'd talk to Arwen about finding her own place. I thought we'd turned a corner. The next morning, I woke up to Sable crying in the bathroom. Arwen was with her, arm around her shoulders, glaring at me. What happened? I asked. Arwen says if I go to therapy with you, it means I don't trust her judgment, that I'm choosing you over her. I looked at Arwen. She smiled. That's when I knew I was done. Update 1. I moved out 3 days ago, and I'm still processing what happened. After that morning when Arwen essentially gave Sable an ultimatum, me or therapy, I did something I'd been avoiding. I called my best friend Phoenix and asked if I could crash at his place for a while. How long's a while, he asked. I don't know. Maybe permanently. He didn't ask questions. Just said to come over whenever I was ready. I started packing that afternoon. Sable watched me from the bedroom doorway, not saying anything. Arwen was in the living room, on the couch like she owned the place, scrolling through her phone with this satisfied smirk. You're really leaving? Sable finally asked. You chose her over our relationship, over therapy, over trying to fix this. I'm pregnant, Oren. You're just going to abandon me? I'm not abandoning you. I'm removing myself from a situation where I'm being treated like a criminal for shit I didn't do. There's a difference. What about the house? What about it? It's supposed to be our house, for our family. We're not a family, Sable. We're two people and a parasite who's convinced you I'm cheating based on literally nothing. I shouldn't have called Arwen a parasite out loud, but I was past caring. I grabbed my bags and headed for the door. Arwen was standing there, blocking my way. Excuse me, I said. She didn't move, just looked up at me with this expression I'll never forget, pure triumph. You'll be back, she said quietly, so only I could hear. You'll come crawling back begging her to take you in because of the baby. And when you do, you're going to let me stay in that house rent-free, or I'll make sure she never lets you see your kid. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I stepped around her and walked out. At Phoenix's place, I made some calls. First to my landlord, giving notice on the apartment lease. Sable's name wasn't on it. She'd been planning to move into the new house with me, so I could legally terminate it. Then I called the moving company and canceled the truck I'd reserved. Sable called me that night, frantic. The landlord says you canceled the lease? I did. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, Sable. Maybe Arwen can get her own place and you can live with her. This is insane. I'm pregnant with your baby. And I offered to go to therapy. I offered to work through this. You chose Arwen instead. I didn't choose her. You literally did. This morning. She told you it was her or therapy, and you picked her. Silence on the other end. I'll pay child support, I said. I'll be involved with the kid. But I'm not coming back to a relationship where I'm monitored like a criminal because your friend needs a place to crash. I hung up. Phoenix brought me a beer. You doing okay? Not even a little bit. You did the right thing. Did I? I just left my pregnant girlfriend homeless. You left your pregnant girlfriend with choices. She's choosing to make this harder than it needs to be. I wanted to believe him. But that night, lying on Phoenix's couch, all I could think about was the house I'd bought, the nursery I'd started planning, the life I thought we were building. 3 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Oren, it's Zaria, Sable's mom. My stomach dropped. Is Sable okay? Is the baby? They're fine, physically. But I need to talk to you about something. She asked to meet for coffee. I went because I thought maybe she'd help me understand what was happening with Sable. What she told me instead changed everything. Sable and Arwen moved in with me 2 days ago, Zaria said. My place is small, 1 bedroom. I'm sleeping on the couch so they can have the bed. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Sable didn't want you to know because she's embarrassed. But I need you to understand what's happening in my house right now. She pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots of text conversations between Sable and Arwen. Arwen, you need to get that house from him. It's half yours legally. Sable, we're not married. My name's not on anything. Arwen, you're having his baby. That gives you rights. Get a lawyer. Arwen, better yet, just tell him you'll keep him from the kid unless he signs over half the house. I felt sick reading it. She's poisoning my daughter, Zaria said quietly, and I don't know how to stop it. Sable called me yesterday asking to meet. I almost didn't go, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at a coffee shop halfway between Phoenix's place and Zaria's house. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing one of my old hoodies that she must have grabbed before moving out. Thank you for coming, she said. I just nodded. I'm sorry. For everything. For not believing you about Arwen, for checking your phone, for choosing her over therapy. You were right about all of it. Okay. Is that all you're going to say? What do you want me to say, Sable? You chose your friend over our relationship. You let her convince you I was cheating when I wasn't. You sided with her when I showed you proof she was spying on me. What exactly am I supposed to do with sorry? I want us to try again. I want to move into the house like we planned. I want to be a family. She pulled out a small box and slid it across the table. I opened it. A ring. Men's wedding band. I'm asking you to marry me, she said. I know that's not traditional, but nothing about us has been traditional. I want to make this right. I stared at that ring for a long time. What about Arwen? I asked. What about her? Is she out of your life? Sable hesitated. She's my best friend, Oren. I can't just cut her off. Then no. But you're asking me to marry you, to let you move into the house I bought, to build a life together. But you won't distance yourself from the person who's been actively trying to destroy that life. How does that make sense? She's just protective. She installed tracking software on your computer to spy on me. She's been trying to convince you to sue me for half the house. She told me to my face she'd keep me from my own kid unless I let her live there rent-free. That's not protective. That's psychotic. Sable started crying. I don't know what to do. My mom's place is so small and I can't afford my own apartment right now, and you have this big house with spare rooms. And there it was. You don't want to marry me because you love me, I said. You want to marry me because you don't want to live in a cramped apartment with your mom and Arwen. That's not fair, isn't it? Be honest, Sable. If you had your own place right now, would you be here asking me to marry you? She didn't answer. Here's my offer, I said. You go to therapy. Not couples therapy, individual therapy, for at least 6 months. You work on understanding why you let Arwen manipulate you, why you were so ready to believe I was cheating, why you're making decisions based on fear instead of what's actually good for you or our kid. You do that, and maybe we can revisit this conversation. 6 months? I'll be almost ready to give birth by then. Then you should probably start soon. What about the baby? What about child support? I'll pay what I'm legally required to pay. I'll be at doctor's appointments if you want me there. I'll be involved. But I'm not moving you into my house just because you're pregnant. And I'm definitely not marrying you so you can avoid living with your mom. She grabbed the ring box and shoved it back in her purse. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. I left her sitting there and drove back to Phoenix's place. He was in the garage working on his motorcycle. How'd it go? He asked. She proposed. I said no. He whistled. That's bold. She doesn't want me, man. She wants the house. She wants to not be cramped in her mom's place with Arwen. She's making decisions based on convenience, not love. You think she'll actually go to therapy? No. I think she'll keep living with her mom and Arwen until the baby comes, then try to guilt me into taking them all in. And when that doesn't work, she'll lawyer up and try to get child support that's high enough to afford her own place. Cynical. Realistic. I was wrong, though, about what happened next. Zaria called me 2 days after the coffee shop meeting. I kicked Arwen out, she said. What happened? come over. You need to see this. I drove to Zaria's place. It was indeed small, a one-bedroom apartment in an older building, the kind of place people live when they're just scraping by. Sable was at work, so it was just Zaria and me. She showed me her laptop, pulled up a folder of screenshots and recordings. Arwen left her phone here yesterday while she went to get groceries. It kept buzzing, and I was worried it might be important, so I looked. Zaria's hands were shaking. What I found made me sick. The screenshots showed text conversations between Arwen and someone I didn't recognize. Arwen. I've got videos of him. Old stuff from when they first started dating. Before he knew better than to let her film. Unknown. And she just gave them to you? Arwen. She showed me during one of their fights. Thought I was on her side. I took pictures of the screen before she noticed. Unknown. What are you going to do with them? Arwen. Leverage. He doesn't want those getting out. I'm thinking $10K to start, then monthly payments if he wants them to stay private. I felt my stomach drop. I knew exactly what videos she was talking about. Early in our relationship, Sable and I had made some private recordings. We were young and stupid and in love, and we thought it was just for us. I'd deleted everything on my end years ago, but Sable had kept them on her old phone. She was going to blackmail me, I said. She was already trying to, Zaria said. She showed me more messages. Arwen reaching out to people I knew, fishing for information about where I worked, where I lived, who my clients were. I confronted her this morning, Zaria continued. Told her to get out of my house and never contact my daughter again. She tried to convince me you were the problem, that she was protecting Sable. But I'd seen enough. Does Sable know? Not yet. She's going to be devastated. Arwen's been her friend since childhood. Arwen's been a parasite since childhood. I should have seen it earlier. Every time that girl came back around, Sable's life got worse. I thought she'd grow out of it. Zaria looked at me with tired eyes. My daughter made terrible choices. She let Arwen poison her mind against you. She prioritized the wrong person, but she's also pregnant and scared and realizes now that she pushed away someone who actually gave a damn about her. I can't come back, Zaria. Not the way things were. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to give her a chance to prove she can do better. The therapy you mentioned, that's the right call. But I also want you to know that I'll make sure she follows through. I'll drive her to sessions myself if I have to. I sat there in Zaria's cramped apartment, processing everything. I bought that house thinking I was building a family, I said. A real one, stable, healthy, different from what I grew up with. And instead I got drama and surveillance and manipulation. You still bought that house. It's still yours. The family you wanted is still possible, just maybe not in the timeline you expected. What if she doesn't change? What if she goes to therapy and it doesn't help? Then you raise your child as a co-parent and you move on with your life. But you'll know you gave her the opportunity to do better. I left Zaria's place and drove to the new house. I'd only been there twice since closing. Once for the inspection, once to drop off some tools. It was empty, echoing, full of potential that felt wasted. I sat on the floor of what was supposed to be the nursery and thought about everything that had happened. About Sable checking my phone. About Arwen's smirk when I left. About the ring Sable had offered me out of desperation rather than love. About the kid who'd be here in 6 months whether I figured this out or not. My phone buzzed. Text from Sable. My mom told me everything. I'm sorry doesn't even cover it. I'll start therapy this week if you'll send me names of people you trust. I pulled up the contact info for my own therapist. Sent it to her along with 2 other names, both women, both excellent at what they do. 6 months, I wrote back. Individual therapy, weekly sessions, and you check in with me monthly about your progress. After that, we can talk about what comes next. Thank you. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because our kid deserves at least one parent who has their shit together. If you're willing to put in the work to be that person too, great. If not, I'll make sure they're okay anyway. I meant every word. It's been 2 weeks since everything imploded. I'm still at Phoenix's place, but I've started moving furniture into the new house. Slowly building the space I'd envisioned, just on a different timeline. Sable's been in therapy. She sends me brief updates, nothing oversharing, just confirmation that she's going, that she's working on things. Her mom confirmed it too. They're both taking this seriously. I'm not back with Sable. We're not together. We're just two people who made a kid together, trying to figure out how to not fuck that kid up with our drama. People keep asking if I'm going to reconcile with her, and honestly, I don't know. Right now, I'm focused on making sure I'm okay, that I'm healthy, that I'm not making decisions based on guilt or obligation or fear of being the guy who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend. Because that's the thing nobody tells you about standing up for yourself. It feels like shit at first. Everyone's got an opinion. My family thinks I'm being too hard on her. Some friends think I should just suck it up for the kid. Even Phoenix, who's been supportive as hell, asked me if I was sure this was the right move. But I keep coming back to this. What am I teaching my kid if I go back to a relationship built on suspicion and manipulation? What kind of model am I setting if I show them that men should tolerate being treated like criminals just to keep the peace? I've spent 6 years in therapy learning to recognize unhealthy patterns, learning to set boundaries, learning that loving someone doesn't mean accepting their worst behavior. Arwen was the catalyst, but Sable made her own choices. She chose to believe I was cheating, chose to monitor my phone, chose her toxic friend over our relationship. Those were her decisions, made by an adult woman who knew better. The pregnancy complicated things, sure, but it didn't erase the fundamental issues. So yeah, I left. I walked away from the vision of family I'd been building because the foundation was rotten, and maybe I'll build it again with Sable if she does the work and proves she's serious about changing. Or maybe I'll co-parent and eventually build that family with someone else who doesn't need me to prove I'm trustworthy every single day. Either way, I'm not compromising on this. My kid deserves parents who treat each other with respect, who communicate honestly, who don't let toxic people poison their relationship. And if Sable and I can't give them that together, then we'll damn well give it to them separately. I'm 28 years old. I've got a house I bought with my own money, a career I built from scratch, and a kid on the way who I'm already committed to being there for. That's more than a lot of people have. I'll figure out the rest as I go. But I'm done accepting less than I deserve just because it's easier than standing alone. The house is quiet at night. Empty. Sometimes that feels peaceful. Sometimes it feels lonely as hell. But it's mine. Built on a foundation I trust. Free from surveillance and suspicion, and someone else's paranoid fantasies about who I am. That's worth protecting. Everything else, we'll see.